Hello and thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of your platform, your favorite community program. On the program today, we are in Kawama Township here in Kitwe on the Copper Belt. On the program today, we are discussing the plight of the deaf in this part of the Copper Belt. My name is Penifas Kainda, your presenter. Join me for what's more to come here on your platform. Welcome to your platform.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Tell us, when did you learn or know that you were deaf?
I became deaf when I was very young, when I was 8 years old. I was sick, and then the doctor gave my mother some medicine. Then after that, I became sick.
And how has been your experience dealing with the condition?
The attitude towards the community is quite negative. The attitude towards us from the community is negative, and that's why I am an advocate. I want to show the people that the deaf are just the same as any other person.
Are there specific things you'd like to see changed in our communities for things to be better than the way they are at the moment?
Yes, we need to change. First of all, we need to change the community in which we live. They must know how the deaf people are and that they have rights as well, because they look at us same as people who do not have rights. So we want to change the behavior of the people in the community.
Unless there's an addition, we'll end there.
I just want to talk about education. We have problems, especially here in Kitwe. In education in Kitwe, for sure, we have problems. Deaf people in Kitwe, we don't have a boarding school. We need to have the government to build quality boarding schools. At Chiwota right now, we have a unit for the deaf, and many deaf people stay home because their parents do not have money to pay for a child's school, because it's for a child's transportation, because it's quite far from where the school is. So if the government can build boarding schools, it will help reduce the problems of transportation. The problem is that the government just loves to give the deaf units one class. That's why you find that from grade 1 to grade 9, every person who's deaf is found in that same one class. So if deaf people have different classes per grade, if we have a lot of space for the deaf, it will help us a lot as deaf people in Kitwe.
Thank you very much for being part of the program.
Thank you so much, and you're welcome.
Welcome to your platform.
Thank you so much, and welcome to this program, to our organization as well.
Tell us your story. What was it like growing up, and when did you know that you were deaf?
For sure. Myself, when I was born, I was not deaf. But it happens that when I was young, I became sick with malaria, cerebral malaria. I was kept in the hospital for 1 month. Then the doctor used to know medicine to help change me for the better, which is quinine. And after that, after taking quinine, I became deaf. When I went out of hospital, my mother worked hard. She made special tea, zigolo. And she used to put more sugar, then she would give me that. Then I would drink Then I could hear a bit after that.
In terms of the challenges that you faced with the condition, maybe you can tell us a bit more about that.
For sure, in Zambian communities we have many challenges as deaf people. The attitude, the behavior in communities, it's not good because the community discriminates a lot of us deaf people. They think that a deaf person cannot do anything important. When it comes to education, hospitals, looking for employment, everywhere there is discrimination, and we face barriers as deaf people. So from my own view, deaf people suffer a lot.
And what would be the recommendations that you'd like to see changed?
I can advise people to change their attitude and view about the deaf people. A deaf person is just like any other person. They are all the same and they have equal rights. No one is above the other person and no one is above the law.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Firstly, tell us your names.
Thank you. My name is Marjorie.
What has been your experience as a deaf person living in this part of Kitwe?
I have a big problem, and we have a lot of challenges in Kitwe as it is right now. For example, many deaf people suffer a lot. So I'm looking at this project that it will come in and help us have a little office that will not require us to pay as rent, because we suffer a lot indeed as deaf people in Kitwe. And the help that we are getting for this project is from outside our country. So if we could have people come in and help from within, it will help a lot.
Was she born deaf?
Yes, indeed. I was born deaf. I was born deaf.
And how was it growing up?
Growing up as a deaf person, I used to be very angry in life because I suffered looking for school. My parents could not find a place because there were in my community there were not so many deaf people and there were no teachers skilled in sign language. So even as it is at the moment, we have the same problem. Teachers are few, and we are trying to ask the government if we could have a lot more people that and build schools. For example, we need boarding schools in Kitwe. We don't have boarding schools for deaf people in Kitwe. Deaf people are suffering a lot because of transport. We only have a number of schools and they are very far from where the deaf people stay themselves. So if we could have more schools built and more teachers trained, it will help a lot.
Your final recommendations?
I'm just asking and pleading with the people of Zambia who can come in and help finish the projects, the building projects that we have right now. We only have support from outside Zambia as it is, and we still have a lot of work that needs to be constructed. We still need to finish this project. So if anyone can come in and help us contribute in any way to finish the project, it will help a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alec, welcome to your platform.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Tell us your story about your upbringing.
Okay. I was not born deaf. It's only when I was young, I became sick. I had a problem with my backbone. From there, I was taken to the hospital in Lusaka. I was in hospital for 6 months, and there I was given some injections. I was given some medicine to take, which was quinine. Then after some time, that's when I became deaf because I had that illness, and then my head was paining very much, and that's how I became deaf up to now.
We've learnt of your skill of driving. As a deaf person, how have you managed?
Thank you, sure. At first, it was very difficult to go and get a license in Zambia because people think that deaf people, they would tell us that no, you cannot drive on the road because you can cause an accident. But after some time, he said that no, a deaf person can, the Zambian law allows a deaf person to acquire a license, but it took some time. I had to fight and fight from this organization, Zambia Deaf Youths and Women. I use my friend. I use the knowledge I got from my friend Frank, and that's how I managed to acquire a license in Dola. I got a license from there, but it was not easy, I can tell you. They would tell me, how can you drive? You cannot hear anything. You cannot hear what's coming if someone is hooting from behind. So how are you going to drive if there's an ambulance from behind? So for sure, I explained. I explained that in other countries, for example, South Africa and America, you find that deaf people are able to drive on the road, on the public roads, and it's easy for them to get a license. So after I got that, I had to go through some tests, as any other person does that, and I passed the test with 70%. And then after that, I went for some more tests on the outside of the road. Again, I passed. Then from there, I went to get a license. And now I'm a proud owner, and I'm able to drive. For 7 months now, I've been driving on the road in Dola to Kitwe without causing any accident. I haven't caused any accident on my own. I drive very well. So I think a deaf person cannot cause any accident. No, they cannot. But now, 7 months on the road, from Dola to Kitwe, usually I travel this road. I'm on the road, and I have no problem. So a deaf person is like any other person. Like any other person can sometimes cause an accident, but I've been driving very well.
How does it communicate?
Especially at the police, when there's a roadblock, the police would say, you are not able to hear. Stop driving this car. Show us the license. Then I would start showing them the license, and then they would ask questions. How did you get this license? The police do not know sign language. Then themselves, the police would just say, no, you must have used corruption. But no, I used the correct way. I was truthful. I practiced. I learned the skill. And then when the police stop me, they ask questions. I show them the license. They look at that, and I want to make the police aware that us deaf people can drive, and themselves, the police, they must learn sign language to make it easy for us to communicate with them. The police in the road there should also learn some signs.
Thank you for that interesting story.
Thank you so much. And I'm happy that I want to add one more. I think that if private companies can also come in and help you finish these building projects that we've started here on the Copper Belt, it will benefit a lot of people. I think that we're just pleading with them we want to open this building on 3rd December. We want to have an official opening. And we want to invite the deaf community as well as any other, because the deaf community will benefit a lot.
Thank you again for being part of your platform.
Thank you. My name is Geoffrey Nguluve. Sign language name, Geoffrey. Now we want to inform the people that At schools in Kansen Dola, we have a problem with teachers. There are many teachers, yes, but they are not serious to teach the children, because many children are complaining that teachers are not coming. They are not coming. Sometimes they go out, they stay home. Sometimes you just give work, they write without really teaching and presenting. So we're asking the government, please look into this issue. We are asking you to to make sure that the teachers that we have are serious with us. We need your help, government. We need development. We need to improve. We need to be at the same level with our hearing friends. We need a lot of support. We need boarding schools. We need a special boarding school for the deaf and the other disabled. We need support with this project. We have this project that's happening right now. We need government to help us in any way, not just to allow discrimination to carry on. I'm really asking you, I'm begging you, government, look after us.
Mpanji, welcome to your platform.
Thank you very much.
You are part of the deaf community, but tell us about your abilities, because we do hear that you have a special skill.
Sure, that's very true. When I was born, my dream was to draw, to become an artist. In community, many people helped me how to draw. They would share the knowledge they have, and I learned from them. And I also learned from school. When I was in grade 12, I wrote my exams and it all was well. Then I got the skill from different people. Indeed, I think drawing is from God, and I love that. It's a talent that God has given me in drawing.
So what kind of drawings does he do, or paintings?
Many different types. I can draw people, animals, and many different things, even villages and the president. There was a time in the past I drew President Sata. I wanted to donate it, but I don't know if the president can get that. I could give him to the Minister of Sports.
How long did it take you to learn this skill?
I learned drawing for 2 years.
And is it commercial?
Yes, sometimes I can sell. That is quite difficult to sell. I want the government to support us through the arts that we know, so that we can also develop ourselves when we sell the things that we draw. This organization, Zambia Deaf Youth and Women, can also benefit from such.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and thank you to you. Thank you very much.
Welcome to your platform.
Thank you.
In terms of your work involves teaching sign language. What has been your experience like?
I have experienced so many things that hearing people have a lot of negative attitudes towards the deaf people. Many people get interested in learning sign language. But one sad thing is that when they know sign language, many people start to abuse the deaf. They lose respect. They discriminate. But few of people that really love deaf people get in their hearts. Yes.
What would you like to see improved or changed so that this sign language skill is spread to more people, so that there's even better relationship between the hearing and the deaf?
I think that sign language is mostly done by organizations. From the government part, I have not seen any school that teach sign language interpreters. We are very, very few actually people who interpret sign language. It is important that government consider seriously the language of sign language. It is used for deaf and hearing people to communicate. In hospitals, nurses need to learn sign language. We had a problem where a deaf person was pregnant and was wrongly given medicine and died. The police needs to learn. Healthy people, especially in programs on TV, things like HIV and AIDS programs, no interpreters for that. So I plead with the government that government should consider deaf people to have same equality. When it comes to levy, these people, they pay TV levy through buying taxes, different things. They are taxed. But on TV programs, they are not receiving equal. Yes.
Do you think most people would shun sign language because they think it's difficult?
With my experience, actually, no. Sign language is not like football, where you see that, it is hard. It looks hard on outside, but when you join and start learning it, it is easy. I think many people who have come across sign language have found it good and interesting, and sign language is one simple language that I have seen myself personally, because there is evidence that the deaf people have education through sign language. Deaf people can read and write through sign language. So sign language is very important. We need more people to come on board to learn sign language. So I urge the government to open up centers for sign language interpreters as well.
Thank you very much for being part of your platform.
Thank you, welcome.
At this point on your platform, I'm joined by Pastor Saidi Tishimba, who is the senior pastor from the Faith Baptist Church within Riverside here in Kitwe. And he'll be telling us about how his church has partnered with the Zambia Deaf Youth and Women Organization. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
In the first instance, how did you learn or know about this program?
Well, as a church, we began what we call ministry to the deaf. And we didn't know who the deaf are in Kitwe until when one who is a deaf translator or interpreter, Mr. Anderson, who's interpreting for me right now, brought the whole idea to the church and communicated to us that this ministry has an audience within Kitwe. And so we reached out and tried to find where all the deaf are. And apparently they were already having this organization in place. And so through our interpreter, we got linked up with the rest of the deaf community, and we increased our ministry to the deaf. We put in our bus in place specifically to pick up all the deaf and have them attend church. That was the initial beginning of our coming together with this organization and with the deaf in our community. From there on, we have continued to participate in their works and also to be part of the Bible study that was started for those who are in colleges, and that is at Kitwe Teachers Training College. And so that would be the foundational side of the whole thing.
Looking at from the beginning of this partnership or relationship with the Deaf Youth Women Organization, what have been some of your achievements together?
First of all, there's been a great achievement in the fact that they've been able to be exposed or brought into a church that takes time to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to them, guide them spiritually, do marriage counseling, and wherever else we can be able to reach out and help this community. Most of the time, even here in Kitwe, I have no idea of any other church that has a specific or deliberate ministry to the deaf. As a result of that, we have thought it is a great achievement to see such a large community of the deaf sit under the preaching of God's word and also receive spiritual counsel from the church. And so partnering with this organization is a great benefit both for the organization and the church, but primarily for the one who is receiving our counsel, that is the deaf person.
Have you been able to sell this idea to other members of the church in order to incorporate this section of society which somehow has been left out?
Yes, every Sunday we increase our effort. Already members of the church are making finances available to get the bus repaired all the time it breaks down, to put the fuel in so that these deaf people are collected for church services. But more than that, we have a Bible college, Central Africa Baptist Bible College. We have started a program where we are teaching sign language. And again, Anderson here is the lecturer of that class, so that many people in the church get to know the sign language, and that fellowship between the deaf and the hearing is made easier by having trained a good number of people in sign language. That is one effort. The other effort is from the deaf community side, to be able to come into this work that Zambia Deaf Youth and Women Organization is doing, and to be able to offer patronage and to be able to come in any way that will help this community feel that the church cares and try to promote a proper attitude towards the deaf people so that they are equally embraced as citizens of the country, contributing positively. And in fact, some of these, our deaf friends, can do far much better than the hearing. Personally, I've experienced and have fellowship with them. It's amazing what they know, what they do, the artwork and the knowledge they have and the exposure they have. But it seems generally around our country there is a wrong attitude towards them and think they are the outcasts or the lepers of our time. That's wrong. They are fellow citizens with rights just like anybody has, and seeking a platform from which they can express themselves, embrace them, the government come in to help them and give them an opportunity to serve even in high-ranking places in society. Another great achievement through Zambia Deaf Youth and Women is that two of the leaders of this group finally got driving licenses, unheard of in our country, which is a great joy and a great achievement. So we are praying and hoping that many other things will be achieved through this initiative of ZYW and also partnering with Faith Baptist Church in Riverside.
What steps do you think we need to take as a country to spread this good idea in terms of incorporating the two communities, the deaf and the hearing?
The first thing, I think we need to make sure our country is sensitized. Like we had our workshop on Monday and Tuesday, sensitizing parents and children on a proper attitude towards the children and giving them an opportunity to come out and go into school and receive all the training. So the initial step is sensitization. I think our government needs to have a deliberate policy in which the disabled, particularly the deaf community, is given an opportunity to come out from the closet and be able to make our government know that this community exists. Second to that effect is we need, first of all, from the church side, we need to withdraw from this tendency of trying to say, no, let's go for healing sessions, let's face it, the deaf community themselves will tell you, it is not something healthy that other churches just throw this to be a healing issue. It is an issue that needs proper attention. These are our friends, our brothers and sisters, our very own siblings who need a proper attention within their disability, being able to be given opportunities that everybody else has. So that would be the next step. I think the last one would be churches out there should also, just like the government, should sensitize and embrace and set up situations that allow them to express themselves. Churches should deliberately have pastors like Anderson who will be in churches to translate sermons, music, and everything, so that the deaf do not confine themselves to one church, but everywhere they go in Zambia, there will be churches available to embrace them and to hear them, to give them an opportunity to hear the preaching of the gospel. So I think those would be a few steps I would suggest. Maybe one more. I think the government needs to build more schools. It's not enough to have one class for all the pupils from grade 1 to grade 9 or grade 1 to grade 7. We need our government to come in here in Kitwe and other towns, deliberately come up with a policy of building schools for the deaf community so that they may be embraced, given the education, and then the colleges open up departments to train the deaf. We had an experience of one of our deaf, after a good qualification at grade 12 and wanted to do law, he couldn't be accepted on University of Zambia because of his hearing disability, and which was sad when he had the qualifications to go into the study. And so if our government could have deliberate policies to attend to this situation, it would be a great thing. I think we will be amazed how God has given great gifts to these men and women, boys and girls, who will add value to our country and to their own lives.
At this point on your program, we are joined by the Executive Director of the Zambia Deaf Youth and Women Organization, Frankson Musukwa, who is going to join us on the program. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Okay. What prompted you to set up or create this organization?
Okay. The idea to start this organization was born. I had it from the experience I had when I was growing up as a deaf person. I could see the challenges, the discrimination that we were facing in the families, in education, when it came to going to school, in sign language. A lot of people do not know sign language, including parents of the deaf. So I thought if we could start this organization that can help advocate for equal rights and opportunities in all areas of life: education, health, accessibility in courts, and other aspects that affect a lot of people, including us as deaf people.
Have things been able to change from the time the organization was set up?
Yes, indeed. We've seen a lot of change from the time our organization started in 2010, the first time in the history of Zambia that the deaf people themselves were allowed to get driver's licenses. And the government has shown a lot of interest in giving work opportunities to deaf people. In education, we have a lot of teachers who are deaf, unlike it was in the past. Same in other aspects, we've seen the change that we have new Disability Act that the PF government has domesticated, and it has helped in advocacy work.
Specifically here in Kitwe, where you are there places where you are carrying out your work to get the message out on better treatment of the deaf community?
In Kitwe, yes. We work with different government departments. In health, we have VCT, and we have deaf people that are practicing as counselors so that we have face-to-face interaction when it comes to getting information on HIV in Kitwe. And at the same time, the government is trying to help us, deaf people, in the small areas. For example, in sports, we've seen for the first time the deaf people have been included to participate in the sporting activities in the district. And at the same time, the organization has started the internet program where the deaf people are helped to learn the pupils as well as the adults to learn the basics in computer skills to use so that they can also be connected with the world, so that we can find a way to change the world together.
In terms of the broader perspective of how you'd like to see things change for the whole country, from the little things that you've been able to achieve as an organization, what would be your recommendations to government and other stakeholders?
In a broader way, we would want to see the government open opportunities for the deaf in a bigger way. For example, in education, we want to ensure that we have lawyers who are able to go and study and they are deaf, nurses, doctors, police officers who are deaf, not just to limit ourselves to teaching, practicing in colleges as it is at the moment. The deaf people can work they can be camera people, they can cook, they can also work in hospitals, they can do a lot of different things instead of just limiting us up to education only. So I want to ensure that the deaf people are also paid more, the government pays more attention to us as well. In the other way, we want to see government support the development of sign language programs in Zambia, which is in society, it's not a very appreciative way that we've seen the community is towards us. We want to ensure that we ease the burden of communication, because that brings about a lot of discrimination. If we can work on sign language, the society can communicate with us very well.
Okay. As we close this interview, tell us about this place where we are. It is a construction site and we see you're putting up a piece of infrastructure. Tell us about it.
Okay, this project is very important for the deaf community in Zambia, and it's the first one that we have in our country. This project will benefit the deaf community, the hearing, as well as people with other disabilities through activities that we're planning on doing at this point. We will have internet cafe, where the deaf people and any other person that is willing to come here can access internet. They can learn sign language from this center to ease the communication with the families. At this same center, in this project, this building project has been sponsored by Bait Trust and CBM. They've been our partners from outside the country. In other words, we want to plead to ask the business communities to come in as well and help us finish this project by 3rd December, because we want to have the official opening on the International Day for Persons with Disabilities, which is 3rd December.
We'd like to thank you very much for being part of the program.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's all we had for you on today's edition of Your Platform, as we were looking at the plight of the deaf in this part of the Copper Belt. Well, I've been your presenter, Penifas Kainda, and on behalf of my producer, Febi Sakala, we urge you to join us next week with another interesting edition of Your Platform. For me, it's goodbye and God bless you.